Um, Jack, don't give any wordy introductions to people. I'll leave that to the speaker. So, welcome to our group. You're talking to people who are spread cheerfully all over the country, although mostly in the southern part as I look at it. Um, and the floor is yours, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Graham. Can everybody hear me okay, just to check?
Yep.
Yes, excellent. I'll just start by sharing my screen once more. Here we go. Um,
Ah, the man who's using a Mac, that's guys.
can can everybody see this okay? Thumbs up. If you
Yep.
can. Yep. Awesome. So, I'm gonna minimize that. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Jack Cooper, and I'm a 23-year-old student of liberal arts at the University of Sussex, a UNA Climate and Oceans Youth Ambassador, a former radical climate activist, and founder of Postcode Revolution. Postcode Revolution is a young organization that asks, what if we talked to our neighbors? What if we connected by acting on climate, nature, and energy, and creating greater ecological safety and resilience? That's the future on your doorstep. As you can see here, the project is currently being incubated by the Climate Majority Project, with whom I've been involved since before they were called the Climate Majority Project and called the Moderate Flank. And they're a large part of the reason of how I met the wonderful Jules Thompson, who's on this call, and it invited me here today, and how Postcode Revolution came about. Thank you very much for having me, and I hope we can have a bit of banter amid the very serious subject matter that we're going to be talking about. Um, Light amid the dark is what I strive for always. And Postcode Revolution is now, I'm very pleased to say, collaborating with the Great Collaboration, not just on this call, but more formally as well. And I hope this is a start of many more collaborations to come. So I'm going to begin this presentation, which I'm going to just zoom out here, so we can we can see. So this is a Prezi presentation. So I've got this big board here, and we're going to zoom into the different aspects of it, and I'm going to talk about it. And please, if for some reason you stop being able to hear me, and if I go silent, or there's technical difficulties on your end, please just say and stop me, and we'll correct them. So yeah, I'm going to begin this presentation with a question, and feel free to sort of raise your hand, or put the thumbs up, or hand in the chat, if this applies to you. Who here knows more than four people in their street, excluding your family and your direct neighbors? So who here knows more than four people, excluding their family in their house and their direct neighbors? Put your thumbs up if that applies to you. Okay, just give it a see. So I'm seeing quite a few thumbs up, thumbs down. Um, So that's great. And I expected in a room full of people involved in parish council and council work that may be a higher percentage of people than normally say yes to that question. And that's great. And you were the people who I'm in the right room for talking about this, obviously. As yeah, sounds like you're doing it already. But for me growing up, and for many people that I've spoken to, I knew my direct neighbors, but no one else in my postcode. On my street. I played in gardens between fences, and lived without a strong sense of local community. I grew up in the 2000s in the shadow of the Madeleine McCann case, with a strong fear of strangers and being kidnapped from my home as well, which is lovely. I also grew up amid this um, global heating and climate breakdown that has not stopped, um, and has only got worse throughout my 23 years. And I'm sure I don't need to remind you of the terrible events of the past month around the world, climatically speaking, from floods to tornadoes and all across the world, from Nepal to North Carolina and Central Europe to, well, next week in the UK, a major Atlantic storm is set to hit us. And this is a visual. And this is just to communicate that, yeah, in the UK, we ourselves are not safe from climate breakdown and global heating. And Postcode Revolution is coming from this context that we need to be prepared ourselves in the UK, and we are not. This is not something that we don't need to worry about, because um, it very much does concern us. I'm a former radical climate activist, as I said, and this is me. Um, I look a little bit different now. This was back in 2022 when I sat on roads, jumped up on stages, and during the crazy heat waves of summer 2022, ran onto the football pitch at the Women's Euros quarter-final in support of Just Stop Oil. And yeah, that is some images of me pretending to glue myself to the goalpost imminently before I was rugby tackled by the security. And yes, one of the comments was the described me as perhaps the slowest activist of all time. As yes, I wasn't able to be on the goalpost for a long period of time, but I acted out of a place of love and desire to raise awareness about climate change, and um, in that context of those summer heat waves, and when I was aware of, yeah, 9 million people watching and the game was being played near me, I felt like it was an opportunity that I could not let slip. So I got a criminal record for my actions, and I'm still serving the last year of a 3-year stadium ban for this. I got police cautions for other actions, but this was the most serious consequences I received, and I was publicly shamed in the Daily Mail, and have read every comment. I've got a little selection of the comments here for your amusement. Um, and but I wanted to draw your attention to the comment in large, Makez's comment here, as this of all the comments stuck in my mind the most. So Makez said, "Thank you again for doing environmentalism a disservice with disconnected and ineffective way of protesting. Unfortunately, by turning yourselves into enemy number one to the general public, on the contrary to your mission, the government is now under more pressure to deal with menacing campaigning and distancing themselves from you as the public intolerance grows. Meanwhile, you are negatively rebranding environmentalism into some woke leftist radical movement, and in doing so, actually creating a disconnect between the issues and the general public. For example, I have long been a big advocate of environmentalism and believe we should be expediting the transfer to green energy, amongst other anti-pollutant initiatives. Unfortunately, because of these stunts, it's hard to talk about this stuff for fear of being called a lefty, even though climate change has nothing to do with my political alignment or a snowflake. This is your doing. Thanks. Find a more constructive way, please." So, amid, yes, the pathetic man-child and tools and target practice comments, that this was the one that actually really stuck with me and made me rethink the most. Um, And so I decided to, in some ways, find a more constructive way, as Mikaz put it. And at this time, around this time after this action, I connected with an organization called the Climate Majority Project, or then they were known as the Moderate Flank. So, and the Climate Majority Project, Jules Thompson played an integral role in the founding of that. And that's where I first met Jules at Bidston back in, I think it was September or October 2022. And at that time, it was a process of still trying to work out what the Climate Majority Project was and what it could do and what it could be. And Rupert Reed and Liam Kavanagh, who are the co-directors, and it emerged out of a lot of thinking that various people were doing, including Jules and Rupert Reed, who has been an important kind of academic and philosophical voice behind the theory of change and what the Climate Majority Project are doing. This is a snapshot from the website as it currently is, and the Postcode Revolution was inspired from the Climate Majority Project and came out of it. And I also, as a result of the Climate Majority Project, was volunteering and part of the early team for Community Climate Action, who are deeply connected with the Great Collaboration. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to work with Jules and Bonnie and various people with Community Climate Action, and then after spending time working on that, I was inspired to launch my own initiative, Postcode Revolution, which, unlike Community Climate Action, which is slightly focusing on a slightly larger scale in the context of parish councils and towns, and talking in the hundreds and villages and towns and sort of hundreds and thousands of houses. Postcode Revolution is a lot smaller than that, and is going hyper local to, we're talking the average postcode is 15 houses in the UK. So 15 to 30, where I currently am, there's 50. So those are the types of scales of action that Postcode Revolution is seeking to initiate. And living on a long main road, growing up, um, I came back to Burgess Hill, which is where I'm from, in the south of England. I'm currently in Brighton, but last year I came back home, where my parents live, and decided to start organizing where I was rather than sitting in the road and doing radical climate action. I thought I'm gonna act where I am and try and really walk the walk when it came to the principles of the Climate Majority Project and the theory of change that I believed in. So I lived on a long main road, somewhat similar to one of these, which went on and on and on, and it was difficult to identify a boundary for the community. Um, and until I decided on our postcode. And growing up, my postcode was always an important part of my place identity. And for most of that time, I thought that it was just my house who had this random string of letters and numbers. And doing a bit of research, I had no idea that 27 other houses where we lived shared this identity. And it felt like a good size for the community. And I can go into the history of postcodes, but that's probably not for another time. But yeah, there's somewhat kind of arbitrary um, classification which formed in the 1950s. Um, it felt like it felt meaningful to me, but also a good arbitrary tool to go, this is the boundary for the community, and it felt able to go, yeah, this is my postcode and this is how big our community is going to be, um, without, of course, with some porous edges and um, stuff. But yeah, it felt like a good boundary. And but I do say, and part of the Postcode Revolution project is saying if it's your street, if it's you live in a close, where I currently am, in a street, St. Martin's Street, it is a the that there's a that identity is stronger than the postcode identity. So when forming this community, identity is very important. And for me, in our first community, it was our postcode, but it could be something else, that could be better, for you in wherever you live or other people live. So basically, I started knocking on doors, and formed a WhatsApp chat. I went round and introduced myself and said, "Hello, I'm Jack. I've lived here for the past 22 years. I don't know you, but I've been here." And yeah, we formed a postcode WhatsApp chat, postcode Facebook group for people who didn't use WhatsApp, and we organized a first community connection event in my parents' house and garden, inviting people to come and bring some food to share, um, and um, and basically connect and meet each other, because what we found is that a lot of people in the postcode on our street didn't know each other. So we um, yeah, so we met, and in terms of the word revolution, in the context of postcode revolution, revolution I'm defining it more as a circular movement or a fundamental change in the way of thinking about or visualizing something. And so a paradigm shift effectively. And that's the revolution that postcode revolution is trying to inculcate. It's one that is changing how people think, shifting the culture, not revolution in the context of on the streets, and that sort of direct action. Not that political revolution condemns that at all and condemns radical activism, and there's certainly definitely a place for that. But what postcode revolution is trying to do is to work alongside that, at the base of the triangle, which draws um well articulated to me once, of change, and attempting to appeal to people who don't want to glue themselves to the road, get criminal records, do that sort of radical climate activism, but do care and see the situation that we're in and see the need for radical change and postcode revolution. If um, enough people um, change, then that is somewhat a revolution in itself without a need for a change of government. And this is something the Climate Majority Project is also trying to do, which is about changing the very electorate, um, as well as looking at the different levers of power and levers of change. So postcode revolution is coming from that context, and is one thing that people can do, and specifically people who are not into that kind of radical climate activism. And it doesn't matter if you're young, you're old, you're socialist, conservative. It's attempting to appeal to everybody, as this affects everybody, and we all live somewhere. And if you're in the UK, you live in a postcode. And so this is a slightly grainy picture of our first community connection meetup. What I really love about this picture is the mix of ages you can see. So from a 1.5-year-old to 80-year-olds came to our house and garden, and connected, many for the first time. And it was a beautiful event, beautiful day. Gave stickers for people to put their houses on, and and shared food and conversation, and it was really fantastic, and it was a great start to the community, having this in person space alongside the WhatsApp chat and Facebook group, which we'd began already. And um, in the context of what I was doing, I at the same time as doing it, I created a methodology and a was exploring how to do this and to promote it and to publicize it in a way that would work for me, but also could work for other people as well. Um, and the three key areas of the postcode revolution theory of change and approach is number one, connect with your neighbors. So that's what I did. Um, Knocking on doors and talking to people um, and yeah, forming those connections which just hadn't existed previously. Number two, create a community. So this I did first virtually in the form of the WhatsApp chat and Facebook group. Um, and these are WhatsApp is is my preferred medium for this. Because I haven't found a better um platform which so many people use and know how to use, and also um it yeah enables yeah this virtual community space to be formed very quickly and easily, and there are also community tools which you can use if when the community gets bigger and you have different groups. So that was and then and but also it's in Postcode Revolution, it's encouraging the physical meetup as well, if that's possible. So that was what we did with the community connection meetup, and getting that, and then combining the two, we had this community that started to form, and a shift in the kind of way of being in the street. So we had a lot of sharing of tools and food and resources, and created a spreadsheet. I called it Community Sharing Hub, um, which is a way of trying to um, catalyze this shift in being and living. So trying to change to the culture to a community of care and sharing, um, and helping each other once you have that initial connection. And what came out of that community connection event was this creativity. And my dad formed a postcode book club, which continues to meet to this day, bringing a book on a different theme every 2 or 3 weeks it is now. And that's been a good way of keeping the community together, having a core kind of group of people meeting up and still forming. And I formed a postcode energy group, um, and we organized 5 energy performance certificates for my parents' house and for other houses in the street. And by going as a block, we were able to get energy performance certificates for, I think it was £40 each, when it's normally 60 to 70 pounds. And energy performance certificates, a lot of homes, especially in residential areas, still don't have them. It's now, if you sell your home, it's a legal requirement, but there's still plenty of places that don't, and it enables you to get government grants for things like boilers and air source heat pumps, and it just shows you how energy efficient your home is, and ways to improve it. So we were able to do that in the summer. That was the main kind of climate energy action um, of that summer in the community. And then at the end of the summer, we had a postcode music festival, where yeah, neighbors were encouraged to. We had instruments and to play music together, and yeah, so that was the summer, and then I moved out of the community into another community in Moscow, and the community I'm now not directly involved in the running of that, but it still continues on, and acting together on climate. Um, when I say this, yeah, energy is one aspect to it. So looking at insulation and energy performance certificates, retrofitting, but also I'm looking at climate education and connecting with Climate Fresk is what I'm trying to do in my current community. Looking at things like community recycling, composting, um, nature rewilding, sharing of food and tools, and less purchasing and consumption, lower energy living. The ideal would be my dream is, yeah, car clubs and sharing of transport, and also climate resilience. So that was also an important, very important aspect for me of doing this, was being able to try and prepare my parents and my community for climate breakdown, and disaster. So especially if you're in areas where there's risks of flooding um, and storms and greater chance of environmental disaster, knowing your neighbours is can be so important for safety in disaster. And one of the things I'm looking at is looking at ways of connecting communities with emergency services, and especially in climate vulnerable areas, um, to be able to build that climate resilience is a key part of Postcode Revolution, as well. So those are the three revolutions in Postcode Revolution: connection, creation of community, and climate action. Um, and I created a community or postcode toolkit, which basically has um, this information in it, and explain it, introduction, why, 5 actions, Q&A with me, testimonials, what others are doing, references. And this is available on Postcode Revolution website, and I've created it in the form of a Google Doc, which people can comment, and it's still evolving, and I'm still looking for feedback. And it's a constant idea. My idea was to see this as an evolving document, which different people can add to, and I'm looking to get it, yeah, hopefully onto a public source platform where different people can add what they're doing, and basically have a collective wisdom document. Because um, what do I know? I'm no expert. I'm 23 and a student, and this is still very much learning for me. And there are a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge and expertise who I want to bring in on this to share what they've done, as many people have done similar things. This isn't reinventing the wheel, but for example, transition towns, transition streets, doing this in the mid 2000s. Many people during COVID pandemic were doing this in terms of mutual aid groups. One of which, the mutual aid group where I was living last year in Molescombe in Brighton, the group was still going, um, and it was incredibly inspiring that it continued, and there was an immense amount of sharing and offers of help for each other and sense of community. And you could see that, yeah, it was a real value to myself and to the people living there. And so Postcode Revolution is looking at this in the context rather than pandemic, even though doing this could be very useful because it's likely we'll have another, well, at some point in the next 100 years we'll likely have another pandemic. Hopefully not soon, but it could happen. And so there were many different applications to it, but Postcode Revolution is coming from a contemporary climate breakdown position, and, yeah, operating hyper locally. And this is an example of the in the postcode toolkit. This is what I made. This is a template from what I made in my most recent community and shared with all the residents when I went door knocking, and put this flyer through with my phone number and my address, and where the pub where we had our postcode meetup. Um, and yeah, it could be house and garden, but it could also be a local pub. In the context of where I'm in Brighton, it wasn't really um, suitable to have it where I lived, and we had a pub very close by. But it also could be, if it's in summer outside. That's where another community meetup inspired by Postcode Revolution happened this summer in Worthing, and or it could be online in the form of Zoom if that's the preferable space as well. There are many different options for this, and as you can see from that letter, it's trying to um, emphasize the different aspects of what we wanted to do, but also make clear that you don't have to be super interested in climate nature to be part of the community. And one of the things that I've done is formed another. So you've got the central postcode chat, but then I formed another group for greening the community and doing things on climate and nature. So it's having this base of community and connection, and then recognizing that then climate and nature passionate folks are going to be kind of arise from that and can organize within that. And that's what I'm doing right now, and what we're doing, and others are being inspired to do as well. The project, this was in February, has been publicizing it. So it was 2 years ago that just over 2 years ago that I started it. And yeah, we've been in the Worthing Inside magazine, and Katie, who wrote that um article, was inspired, but after hearing me speak, after her mum actually heard me speak, both of them were inspired to form communities where they were in Worthing, and because um, out of feeling like they can get arrested for radical action because of the circumstances of their life, they wanted something else to do, and Postcode Revolution really inspired them and appealed to them as something that they could do. The and I've also been on Hertfordshire Radio speaking about it in St Albans Sustainability Expo at the Crew Centre in Worthing. I had a talk, and I'm continuing to get the outreach, and to publicize it and spread the word in ways like this. I've now also got a website which has the toolkit on, and the story of the project, links to these media things and contact. And I'm also launching a podcast as well, and have recorded the first episode, and I'm going to be launching that pretty soon. And our very own Jules Thompson is going to be coming on the podcast soon enough, hopefully as well, to talk about community climate action and great collaboration. And that's exploring the ideas, primarily the ideas, outreach and action of Postcode Revolution, people doing similar things, um, and giving people ideas of what they can do, what they can read, what they can watch, what they can listen to, and good conversation, and a bit of banter as well. And yeah, so that is the website, and here is the photo from our um postcode community meetup in Brighton, which was just 2 weeks ago, and went really well, and had yeah, almost 15 people come, and we are having another meetup in 2 weeks in another pub, um and trying to make it a monthly meetup. So for me, I'm very much believe in walking the walk and doing this, and so as well as speaking about it, um, as well as the ideas, the outreach like this, it's the action is so important, and that's what I'm doing where I am, and testing out still what works, what doesn't work, and it's constantly evolving. Um, but yeah, and I'm learning. But that's a lovely shot from our our meetup, and And here are some links for you guys. So that's the link to the website, um, postcoderevolution.com. On this link tree here, if you type that in, you can find the WhatsApp chat we've got, where there's about 35 people in it, from all across the country, some of whom are uh, doing the action part of doing it themselves, leading. We've now got approximately 4 communities who are inspired by Postcode Revolution and are kind of broadly part of the movement. I want hundreds, thousands more. But of course, decentralized. But the idea with the WhatsApp chat is to have a sort of hub where people can sort of share, this is working, this isn't working, but also people who are just interested in the ideas or the outreach, and just create a movement for it. So you can find that WhatsApp chat in that link tree there if you'd like to be added. Also, my email there. Send me an email if you'd like to be added to WhatsApp chat that way, and send your number, or get in touch for anything else. Um, and so yeah, that is Postcode Revolution, the future on your doorstep. Thank you so much for listening, and for inviting me here today. And I'm happy to, yeah, hear any questions on anything that I've just talked about. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. It was one of the more fascinating presentations, in that I was writing down questions as you went through, and then 3 slides later you'd answer it. But I am left with a couple which I'd love to start off the Q&A session with, and then we've got Peter with his hand up, and everyone else I'm sure will pitch in. So the first question was, do you find yourself running up against the initiatives coming from parish councils, who are also being encouraged to get EPCs for each house, and a lot of the retrofitting, insulation and so forth that you're looking at? Or do you find that you're below their radar, and that the people that are coming to you have no idea what the council is up to?
I'd say the second one, so below the radar. And I think that yeah, Postcode Revolution's kind of working. I'd like to work more with councils, and a good example, for example, is um, in the community where I was previously living, there were actually counsellors in the chat, and it was a great means of being able to very easily, people kind of messaging stuff, and then the counsellors in the chat going, "Yep, this is I'm sort of working on this. We're going to act on this," um, and it provided a great fluidity between the council and the lived kind of local community. So that's I think Postcode Revolution these kind of communities can work very much well alongside councils, and yeah, hopefully I want to aim, and it's currently been kind of below the radar so far, but that's something that I'm seeking to kind of integrate more, is yeah, looking at how to get councils on board, but it's also trying to, yeah, encourage everyone to be citizens, and in some ways everyone to be councillors, I guess, and to take a active interest and care for their local community. But I think, as you say, it's important, also to recognise the fantastic work that councils do, and councillors do, and as the great collaboration is doing, it's, yeah, um, I think it's ultimately, it's work. There are many different levels to this, to action, and I think Postcode Revolution could work well alongside. But yeah, as you say, and this is one of my, yeah, ways of evolving the project, is trying to find ways of not replicating unnecessarily work that's already been done, and finding ways of kind of connecting and aligning residents and these communities with the initiatives and work that's being done on the ground, by councils as well.
Well done. I think it's brilliant to find a way of energizing people that have not really come to the council's notice yet, or the council hasn't got the word out successfully. So more power to you, and I hope that you're very successful. And of course, the vast majority of people on this call are either on parish councils or they're in community organizations that are very interested in what you're doing. So good stuff, great to it. And let's ask Peter if he can come up with his question, please.
Right. Yes. Well, I'm going to get in straight away. And basically, I'm chair of the East Cambridgeshire Climate Action Network. And one of the initiatives which we actually got running, only just launched last Saturday, is the Soham Greener Together initiative. For you probably won't know, Jack, but most other people probably know that Soham as a town became notorious 21 years ago because it was the murder of two schoolgirls by a school caretaker. So that's how the town became notorious in East Cambridgeshire. But I've just launched this initiative with one of the town councillors, and I've already committed myself to doing some event of some sort for aimed at younger people. And I think I've already got the guy that's actually able to do that for me. I hope. Anyway, that's you, Jack. So I am going to offer you. Certainly, we have to talk about details. But what I'm going to say is, if you live in Brighton, you can catch a direct train to Ely, and then I can take you to the town of Soham, which is only about 5 miles away. I'll pay for your rail fare, so long as you use it off peak and you use your rail card. And we might be able to find other ways in which I can provide some form of funding, because I think I've been thinking about this as you've been talking, and I think probably initially it may not work in an online environment if I want to attract younger people round about your age there. So I think you've somehow got to be face to face. People are going to come out and, dare I say, touch and feel you in order to kind of get interested in some respect there. So I'm not really sure exactly how we're going to do it, but what's in my mind, if you're interested, is I think we may need to kind of get some kind of social media running first, get you doing quick, I don't know how to do it, but quick Instagram or TikTok short videos to get the attention of the young people of Soham and see what we can do in that respect, if you are up for it.
Thank you, Peter.
The question, are you up for it?
Thank you. Well, I'm definitely up for yeah, these kind of initiatives, and that sounds fantastic. So I think if you email me or if basically just as long as I have the time to do it alongside I'm in my 3rd year at university, and well, this project is actually what I'm working on as part of that, which is fantastic. And I also co-run the Forest Garden Society at the university. So yeah, just let's talk about it after this call, Peter, and I'd be very interested in getting involved and seeing what I can do to help. It's we'll talk about the dates and times and what that would involve.
And I'm thinking that this is a model which we could actually kind of, if you wish to do so sometime, replicate this across the country, in that way. So that way, and by the way, you've only got about an 8-year sell-by date before you're past your sell-by date, by the way.
Peter, thank you very much for a very generous offer, and I'm very delighted to note that in the chat, Peter Anderson is already explaining that we should be going global on this, and he's linking you up to California. So there's no holds bars, Jack. Now you're on your way. Amanda, please.
There. I hope you can see me okay. I'm working off 3 or 4 different screens here. So I put in the chat details of the what we've set up fairly recently, the Borton S network, and S is for sustainability, of course. And the idea there is, and I put it in the chat, but we've put it into our local news. It's like a monthly that comes through the letterbox with 4,200 people in our village, and we got very connected during COVID. So I'm seeing a lot of parallels, a lot of similar lines. So basically, let's say that we've also got something that's very similar to what you're doing. And we haven't met before. I've not heard of it before today. So it's great that we're connecting up. But what you've given me today is so much more idea of tools that, let's say, I'm an old fogey, but I was doing computer science in college before there was computers available in college. So we were learning it all from a book and doing, you know, the punch cards and the magnetic tape programming, and then taking it to the local bank on the mainframe for like the 2 hours that the college could afford a week. But the use of tech in the most agile, most engaging way that can organise in a way that you don't have to be the one that it relies on, Jack. Because what I think happens in parish and town councils is we set up meetings, we set up structures, and then find we haven't got the capacity to take it forward. Or we've got to have health and safety, we've got to do our risk assessments, we've got to have our insurance in place. There's all these reasons that get in the way that just don't when you're just acting on your own in a community. So what we've done is we had something at Parish Council called the Environment Action Working Group or something like that. And it was a subcommittee of a committee. And it went well for a couple of times, but the councillor who was running it didn't have time to get the minutes together. And so nobody knew what they'd agreed to because they hadn't written it down because they're expecting the minutes and all that stuff. And what you're doing is very similar to what we're doing, which is based via a WhatsApp group, but also for older folk that are more used to the magazines going through the letterbox each month. But there's also a digital version of that newsletter. It's called the Borton Browser. So what I put in the chat was what we put into the Borton Browser. But I suppose what I'm saying is two things. One is, well done, and it's reassuring for me that we're doing the right thing, especially if you're academically studying it as well as creator, owner of it, founder. I wonder, is it open source, all your information, so that we would be able to sort of take pieces from it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's the Google the postcode toolkit is Google Doc, and you can it's you're able to comment. I'll just put a link in this chat as well. So I'll put my email again here, and then I'll just link you to the latest iteration of the postcode toolkit, and this goes for everyone. Please feel free to comment and yeah, give feedback. It's still very much an evolving document, and yeah, my view of this is to make it as open source as possible. And again, what I'm really trying to do is recognize that I'm not what I'm doing here, it's not many people are doing, as sounds like you're amazingly doing very similar things. And this is kind of what the Climate Majority Project is trying to do as well, which is kind of to join people up who are doing these things and to create a sense of like a wave of a shared understanding that there is a climate majority of people who care about climate and nature in our country, and with Postcode Revolution, it's aiming to give people the tools to be able to, as the Great Collaboration does with the Great Collaboration Toolkit, to be able to do it themselves. And ultimately, so far it's there were 4 kind of communities sort of inspired by it, but it's mostly just been me, and I'm looking to build.
The critical thing is the word sustainability used to be used for whether a project would carry on after the formally funded period finished. And so what you've done is create a model that is sustainable in the sense that not only is it about sustainability, it itself, the model is sustainable in that you walk away, you went to university and it didn't fall down because you've created a model in a way that isn't dependent on people. And this is the message, Graham, for councillors, parish and town councils and the models. If we are the creator as councillors of models, please don't have it disadvantaged by the structures of parish councils and the requirements of them. Let's try and enable them out in the community, enable them, but don't restrict them, and liberate them and ensure they're sustainable in their modelling in such a way that, or encourage them, because you wouldn't have any power to impose a structure, but learn lessons from what Jack's saying, because I think, you know, it's reassuring for our projects in Bolton, but it's also, yeah, we'll definitely link into your overarching sort of national, if not international register.
Yeah, it'd be zip code revolution in the US.
That's the one. And I'm in Brighton in a couple of weeks, so might see you there. Take care. Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you all very much. Does anyone else have any points or questions to raise, please? That's Peter Bates.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, a more kind of specific kind of question, Jack, around, I mean, you know, we set up a WhatsApp group, which is almost the equivalent to postcode group in our local neighborhood. And I joined, you know, COVID, which is an obvious kind of reason for doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how go to well, I'll tell you what actually happened. I mean, you know, I suppose, no, I'm not phrasing it very well, but I'm thinking of how do you get to the point in which you can then you know, generally kind of get people kind of working together, talking together, and whatever it is, but then you move it on to the kind of more, dare I say, serious type things around climate change and climate activity in that respect. Because I'll give you an example. I still don't know all the people in our WhatsApp group. People went around, you know, right at the beginning and told each other, you know, what number they were on, but I seem to have lost all those details. But I did get, I raised the question of, in the whole of the city of Ely, we've actually got now a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. And I was, before that became in force, I was actively encouraging people to take part in the consultation for that. And I had one mysterious person on this WhatsApp group was dead against it, and really quite kind of vicious about it. Now, I didn't pursue it any further because I thought it was going to upset the balance of that WhatsApp group if I actually tried to pursue it in that way. So I'm just wondering, how do you actually manage to raise the whole issues around climate change, etc., but not actually kind of alienating people at the same time?
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Great question, and it's a very important one. So yeah, basically in I think one of the broader motives of Postcode Revolution and climate majority project as well, if I can speak to them, but if yeah, from what I understand of the climate majority project, is about these kind of depolarizing the conversation on climate and nature, and I think we're still at a point where, you know, well, the Conservatives and in the US is the most extreme example of this, where climate nature has been weaponized and turned into a political football in a similar way to kind of wokeness and yeah, basic kind of human rights are turned into political things, which frankly they're not. And so this has been an issue in the sense of kind of politics, and to what extent should the group be political. I'm trying to frame the kind of basically having this the Postcode Revolution has this strong kind of community and climate focus, but having the base of kind of connection with your neighbors and creating this community where you are, in my view, yeah, the climate and nature specific actions, what I've done and been doing is forming, basically canvassing interest within the group and then forming another chat for that. And then with the WhatsApp communities feature, you can then still link that to part of the community as well. So and what I would say with Postcode Revolution as well, in terms of the branding, been tried to talk a bit more about like energy rather than climate nature as well, and kind of cost of living is a good way in as well. I found to that that again, some people can still see climate and nature as political things and like left woke things when it's just the biosphere and it affects all of us. And yeah, and basically so trying to shift shift the general shift in framing of that, but also having space, having a specific space for that within those kind of climate nature actions within the community, but then also recognizing that if you're having that kind of community, if you're building that community in the face of climate emergency, disaster, and kind of that adaptation, then in some ways it doesn't matter if you're mentioning climate or nature. Like if you have those connections where you are, it's going to be very useful in the event of disaster and building that resilience, and then also having more sharing of food, resources, tools. I don't need to mention kind of climate, but that itself is a more eco-friendly kind of recycling, lower energy ways of living. So those, in some ways, yeah, having those inner circles, it's like they're all climate related, but there's different levels to it, if that makes sense. And in trying to include everybody in that at the base, and then kind of work with at present who is more kind of interested in the various different aspects of the change. Yeah.
Thanks, Jack, very much. And presumably you're now a dryer, Jules, so we could go to you, please.
Yes, very quickly, because I've got to dive on to my next meeting. But I just want to say great work, Jack. And, building community is the hard yards, as is meeting and just talking to our neighbours in modern society. Around our community pub, bringing that together, we've had people that have lived in the village for 27 years and didn't know their neighbours, so we've just met. So we're stronger together. So it's a brilliant aspiration. Clearly, one I massively support. And as Jack said, he and I met through the Climate Majority Project, and also working on community climate action. And my question is, how do you feel by building this kind of community and mutual aid network? How might that feed into community climate action and sort of acting in cohort as communities in support of our district and county's aspirations, and also in support of a parish council? I think we heard from Amanda that sometimes parishes form committees and then struggle with capacity. So do you think it will feed into that and sort of build stronger cohesion for communities to act together?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Jules. Yes, and I think that as wanted to stress with this that it's kind of there's a reason we have parish councils and town councils and county councils and national government and international government, because ultimately if the entire world was to run off postcode communities, then it would be a bit of a struggle, I think, to organize, especially when centralization has many good aspects to it, and having these structures and institutions which can represent vast numbers of people is very important. And so I definitely think that Postcode Revolution can work with organizations like Community Climate Action, especially when it's kind of spreading kind of initiatives and stuff which concern, say, your whole village or town, and a larger area, because ultimately we live in broad areas than just our postcode, and there are specific systems and things that affect us which are at that larger scale, and having all these different levels and forms of action working together, I think can hopefully bring about the change that we all want to see.
Fantastic. Well, I've got to dive off, but I just want to say well done, and really excited about looking forward to working with you, building community mutual aid networks from postcode grassroots ground up. Fabulous. Well done.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
no doubt
Thank
speak
you.
soon.
And
Look forward to further collaboration.
And and Jules Jules Community Climate Action, and Jules is going to be in Worthing on the 11th, on Friday the 11th, and I'm also going to be there as well. So
Doing a
So
workshop on food resilience. How are we going to feed ourselves as we move forward into this climate emergency? Cool. I look forward to seeing you then, Jack. Look forward. Thanks, everyone.
See you later. Jules. Have a good
Bye,
day.
Jules. Thank you. Well done, all. Thank you very much. Next week, we are being advised, given examples of, and all the things you can do to save water at home by Becky from the Welsh Water Organisation. So I think that should be fascinating for all. Thank you all very much for your time this time, and long live the revolution, Jack. Keep going. And we'll see you next time. So thank you all so much. Take care. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.